Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. So I'm going to try one of them stupid little tier list things. I've never actually done one of these things before, and I couldn't really figure out how to do it online, so I just like dragged it into MS Paint. So, you know me, I'm the MS Paint guy. But this tier list isn't going to be what you think it is. What it's actually going to be is how well do certain classes and certain specs and Season of Discovery do versus Warlock. Okay, so if any of these classes end up in S tier, that means that they are probably going to absolutely destroy Warlocks and Season of Discovery. And anything that ends up in like F or D tier are things that are probably just going to die horribly to Warlocks, and there's not really much that you can do about it. Now, there are different kinds of Warlocks, and I will talk about them when I get there. But the general consensus on the internet right now is that people are really scared of the Master Channeler Demonology Warlock. If you don't know what that stuff looks like, and God help you, I don't know why you're watching this video, but not watching the other stuff, I can show you guys real fast here. Let's see, let's go to Warlock real quick. And Master Channeler says your drain life is no longer channeled. Last 15 seconds, it turns it into a dot. Last 15 seconds with a 15-second cooldown costs 100% more mana, which is significant, and heals you for 50% more each time it deals damage. Ignore the each time it deals damage part, and that's more accurately how it works. So it just increases the healing by 50%. This thing is terribly written. It still has a 20-yard range. It acts like a dot. I think it can be cleansed off of the target. If you physically get outside of range of the channel, it doesn't matter. You could be like 100 yards away. It's still channeling. It's just like a visual effect. So it literally increases the healing by 50%, the mana cost by 100%, and turns it into a damn dot on the target. So that's the first thing that people are going WTF over. The second one, of course, is Demonology, or Metamorphosis, I should say, where basically the Warlock gains a 6% reduced critical strike, meaning 6% less chance of being critically hit, a billion armor, like an insane amount of armor, like a WTF amount of armor. When you actually know about certain gear in World of Warcraft that just has bonus armor on it for no good reason, so Warlocks can like hit their armor cap, which is kind of messed up. Threat doesn't really matter. The life tap being increased by 100% is also a super big deal. Increasing mana regeneration from life tap by 100%, absolutely insane. You get to run around and cast certain abilities. Like Searing Pain is now instant cast, which means that they can just spam fire damage over and over and over again on cooldown. It's kind of like being moonfired, but a bit more mana efficient, especially when you consider the life tap stuff. And then nothing else here really worth noting other than they do gain a charge ability. It's only a 1-second charge, but they have to be out of combat in order to use it. It is literally charge. And I do believe charge, I might actually say here, nope. But charge historically has got like a 25-yard range on it. Have to be out of combat. It's a 1-second stun. The warrior charge is a 2-second stun. I can look that up real fast here. Let's go charge, just so we're all on the same page. Yes, rank 1, rank 2, rank 4, rank 3. Stuns the target for 1 second. I didn't know that, but you can see it has that 8, the 25-yard charge range, and you have to be out of combat. I swear it's a 2-second charge, but they have charge, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so basically it's just Master Channeler and then Metamorphosis, and there's nothing else even remotely decent worth talking about down here. Maybe Incinerate. It really doesn't matter. It's just these two abilities in conjunction with each other are absolutely terrifying. Demonic Grace, that's what people are suggesting you take. Surge Refill Energy, increase your pet and your own dodge chance by 30%. 2-second cooldown. And your chance to critically strike with all attacks. All attacks, not spells. So it's like whatever. Everything here is very badly written. But basically, people are like, who the hell gave Warlocks the ability to heal better than they needed to in Classic WoW? Are you stupid? Which is a good question. And then they also are like, who the hell is making SO Warlocks even harder to kill in Classic WoW? What the hell is wrong with you people? I made a video on the actual weaknesses behind Warlock in Classic World of Warcraft. I just got done uploading it, and then I immediately came over here. So it's probably literally right here. Warlock PvP weaknesses and SoD, not as OP as you think. They have a fair few weaknesses, which I'll talk about when we get to the various matchups. But I'm just going to do a tier list real quick about specifically this Demonology Warlock. There are other Warlocks, but they're still doing what Warlocks have always done, which is they're either dotting you into oblivion or they are trying to burst you out of existence. So Demo Lock is still a thing, Affliction Warlock is still a thing, and SL Warlock is just taking on this new, more demon-esque life-stealing form. All right, so the main weaknesses of the Warlock in general, let's just start with the TLDR of Warlock in general. So the TLDR in Season of Discovery, as near as I can tell, Season of Mastery, as near as I can tell, is that any class that's dealing physical damage that was already struggling to beat Warlock in Classic World of Warcraft, you're probably still, you're super not going to beat them in Season of Discovery. Like, it's kind of not even a question. So that's going to be your hunters, that's going to be your warriors, that's going to be your rogues, right? And that's about it. And you can probably throw Feral Druid under the bus as well. So your physical damage dealing classes that were struggling to kill SL Warlock back in Season of Discovery are likewise going to struggle to kill these damn SL Warlocks in Classic WoW. They're going to struggle to kill them in Season of Discovery. Nothing's really changed for the other Warlocks. They're probably going to get eaten alive. Either they burst you out of existence, or they try to dot you to death, or they die screaming. It's specifically the Demonology or the Metamorphosizing Warlock that is going to be a real pain for all of the physical damage dealing classes. All right, and that just is what it is, and that's just basically the TLDR. So I'm going to Control C on our lovely little Druid here, and we're basically going to throw him down into the F category. This is specifically Feral, right? So Feral is going to go there. I'll put a number on them later. The Caster Druids, on the other hand, actually have some play against Warlocks, and a fair bit of play against Demonology Warlocks in general. They'd probably struggle more against the Affliction Warlock than maybe against Demonology Warlock. So I'm going to put, I don't know where to put non-Feral Druid. All right, let me think here real fast. I want an F for Feral. And I just want to drag the F over here and just plug it right on top of the Feral. Cool. MS Paint for the win. All right, so that's Feral Druid. Feral Druid is just going to be like, damn, dude, good luck with that. But the non-Feral Druids actually got some pretty scary stuff. For example, let's go back over here. Let's go to Druid really fast. And I want the Mark of Cenarius. Yeah, Fury of Storm Rage. Reduces the mana cost of Wrath by 100%, and each time you deal damage with Wrath, it has a % chance that you can heal yourself. The fact that it doesn't cost any mana is kind of insane. Any kind of manage bonuses that they're giving to Druid in general are kind of nuts. They have a better matchup against Warlock than you'd think they would. And here's the reason why. Okay, is that the Warlocks cannot heal under very certain circumstances. Okay, let's go back over here. They can't heal under certain circumstances. So, for example, they need to put a damn dot on somebody in order to heal them, but it's only a 12-yard range, a 20-yard range dot. So if any class can stay outside of the 20-yard range, the Warlock cannot heal themselves. It's been that way since the dawn of time, and it doesn't seem to be changing at all. And if you haven't noticed, just about every class, every class and its dog can stay out of a 20-yard range of a warlock. Druids, super easy to stay out of range. Hunters, super easy to stay out of range. Mages can super easy. They can slow them. That they have no reason to get within 20 yards and then try to burst a warlock out of existence. Super easy for them. Paladins can cleanse themselves. Whoop de freaking do. And they can also easily stay out of that range if they really wanted to, but they don't. Priests can cleanse it and stay out of that range, no problem. Warlocks don't really have a slow. Actually, priests, yeah, they might struggle to stay out of that range in the grand scheme of things, just because Curse of Exhaustion might actually be in play. But they can also remove that from themselves. Paladins can remove Curse of Exhaustion with freedom. It's just not happening. They gave Paladins a slow potentially. I mean, Jesus. Warlocks, yeah, my bad. Rogues, they have to get within range, but they can tell Warlocks to shut the hell up as far as damn it, what is it? Fear and stuff goes. So they don't really mind tangoing. They also don't really mind the dot being on them because they can stack wound poison and stuff on the Warlock much better now. So they're not really bothered about the Warlock quote unquote healing. They're going to reduce that healing by like gigatons. Mages can also ice block out of it if they really want to get up close and personal and frisky. Shamans don't really care. They can easily stay out of that range if they want to. Their burst is absolutely terrifying. Even if it isn't played, their burst is still absolutely terrifying. So it's like, ooh, they like tickle healing and they got a bunch of armor and like 6% reduced critical strike chance. I'm not sure I give a shit. Kamehameha. Blah. Kind of stuff going on there, but we'll talk about when we get there. So it's kind of like, yeah, you could put that dot on me, but I'm not sure I give a crap. Just die now, kind of a scenario. And warriors, get screwed, get effed. Go f yourselves. This is a warlock, and now they have a tank spec. You weren't killing them before. You're not killing them now. I just went over like a little brief overview of everything, but my point is that Druids have some significant play here because they don't super like standard Druid like running around in travel form, moon firing you. I consider that this Druid playstyle to be the soda poppin' Druid, the one that is terrifying in my book that you'll see in like the old school tips out deep dive with on Druid, the soda poppin' videos. That Druid has some new tools and some new mana efficiencies to stay at range from a Warlock and grind them down. And that might, I don't know enough about Druid to know if that's going to give them the edge against the Warlock or not, but they might have the toolkit available and necessary to them to actually grind out a Warlock. The fact that they can cast Wraths and it being free is literally insane. Like for their mana efficiency, it's literally insane. Like, blah 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 blah. So now all they have to do is basically root the damn Warlock in place. Like, if the Fell Hunter doesn't get him out of the root in a timely fashion, which is very likely, because when it devours magic, what am I thinking about here? When it devours magic, it is a random dispel. And Lord knows there's going to be a bunch of dots on the Druid anyways. So the fact that they can cast Wrath for freeze means that they can just slow. It's not a slow. It's a root. But they can root the Warlock and then just blast him with like free mana spells. And yeah, they got a bunch of dots on them. But I'm not entirely convinced they give a shit. Depends on how they're geared and so forth and so on. That's another big TLDR that you're not going to get in a lot of other videos. Is how gearing changes in Season of Discovery and PvP in general. Everybody in Season of Discovery went up in damage. Okay, everybody went up in damage. Some classes went up in durability, but everybody went up in damage. Well, when you raise the damage of 1v1s in PvP or just PvP in general, what happens is people start gearing differently. They start devaluing damage in a lot of their gear builds, unless they're specifically burst classes, where they're all in on the burst. They start devaluing damage, and they start increasing the value of either raw hit points or damage mitigation sources of some type, be that resistances or melee damage mitigation. Okay, so don't think of it like Like when we get to Elemental Shaman, it'll be like, oh my god, Elemental Shaman Burst went up by like 1,000 damage. How is anybody going to survive Elemental Shaman Burst? And the answer is you gear differently. You like semi-retard. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You just gear differently. So, for example, Paladins go from needing like 5,100 HP to suddenly needing closer to like 6,000 HP in Season of Discovery. However, their DPS went up so significantly that they can easily compensate for that change slash alteration in the HP pools. And the same will be true for the Druids. The same will be true for just about every other class in the game if they want to do like an endurance playstyle. So Druids are either going to be really good at killing Warlocks, or the matchup's going to feel very similar to how it's always been between Druid and Warlock. So that's why I'm putting them around B or C, but they could very easily come up to A. I just don't know enough about Druid to be able to definitively tell you where they belong on the matchup in the grand scheme of things. But the fact that they're getting mana efficiency increases, that was the only thing that ever held them back against killing Warlocks in the past, was they just weren't quite mana efficient to kill the SL Warlock before the SL Warlock killed them. But with the increase in mana efficiencies, I don't see anything in the toolkit of a Warlock that's going to help them survive against a Druid anymore. So I could easily be convinced, and I probably am convinced. One sec here, to put that up even higher. One sec. Let's put it up into A. She's probably easily A, B, somewhere around that vicinity. And now I got to get that damn F back on. Ah, jeez. What? Why does it do this? Oh, it's the control. Right. I want red. I said I want red. You think we can shift F? There we go. Feral. Feral's going to be terrible. I'm pretty sure Feral's not going to do anything against these metamorphosing Warlocks. Absolute garbage. But I can easily be convinced that Druid is going to be up there on the list. Like, damn. All right, let's talk Hunters. Hunters, I'm pretty sure they got a lot more burst. Hunters were always weird in classic World of Warcraft, as near as I can tell. I'm not a Hunter expert. I'm just a Paladin expert. You'll know the classes I'm an expert on when I finally get to them and I don't shut up for like 10 minutes. Like, just bear with me here. Hunters are probably going to be garbage, but I'm not entirely sure. Control Z, Control V. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure they're going to be garbage against these metamorphosing hunters just because the massive armor increases that they're getting. But here's the bizarre thing about hunters, at least in Era and in classic World of Warcraft in general. They get some weird items. Like they get like a ZG neck piece or trinket or something stupid like that. That it's on a long cooldown. I think it's like 10 minutes or something. But basically it lets them get like an extra multi-strike like instantaneously or something stupid like that. All you need to know about hunters in Era is that they scale with their gear in PvP to the point where any target they're engaging with that is like male armor or less is running the risk of being deleted out of existence. And this is an Era. Like, I haven't even started talking about what the hell they get in Season of Discovery. Like, in Era, okay, I'll be running around as like my 500, 200 HP, like, 65% armor, sword and board prop paladin, okay, or like Holy Reckoning paladin. And these guys will open up on me in Warsong Gulch, and I'll blink, and the next thing I know, I've down to 30% life. That's them using their trinkets and getting a little lucky on the crits, like using those abilities that I just talked about, where they're getting like a free multi-shot from like their ZG neck ability. The amount of burst damage that can come out of a hunter in PvP in Era is absolutely effing insane. I'm just like, holy crap. I'm like, I was like, yeah, okay, thank God I'm a paladin. I'll survive that. Would I have survived that without a shield? Probably, but damn, what the fuck was that? And then you see what they start being able to do to hunters and other classes in classic WoW, and it's terrifying. So basically, it's like, if you're not in plate mail, or the equivalent of plate mail, so aka Shaman, Um, Hunter burst damage in Era is absolutely terrifying. And as near as I can tell, and from what I've heard in Season of Discovery, their burst capability is going up significantly. But I still think too much of their damage is based upon the physical, even though I'm fairly certain that a fair bit of their burst damage is going to be magic based, which kind of helps them do a little bit more damage. I am a little scared of them, even as a paladin in Season of Discovery. They're going to be one of the premier burst classes in Season of Discovery. I just don't think they've got enough oomph here for being able to deal with a warlock, if that makes any sense. Specifically a metamorphosizing warlock. Any other type of warlock, they're gonna blow them the fuck up. Just the only thing that'll make the warlock survive is if the warlock geared specifically to try to survive, be more survivable, yada yada yada, more armor or something. They're just gonna die. The burst hunter burst is literally insane. In Era, they're like the natural predator of mages and other disgusting classes. Like, you'll be in Warsong Gulch, the mage will blink forward to do some stuff, and the hunter just looks at him funny, and they explode. It's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck just happened? Very, very scary. I just don't think they're going to be good in this matchup. Even with the beast mastery and all the additional beast mastery stuff, it's just that armor screws them over too hard. And again, that general rule of if you were a physical damage dealing class and you weren't beating SL warlocks before, you sure as hell aren't beating them in Season of Discovery. And Hunter unfortunately falls in that category. All right, let's talk Mage. I think Mage actually has a impressive and really good chance to kill warlocks now in Season of Discovery, and I'm not joking. Okay, so that's not quite true. One sec. Let me. I don't quite feel that good about it. I'm gonna put them a little bit higher than Druid, but not quite into S tier. All right, so here's what I see what's going on with Mage. Again, I'm not a Mage expert, not a Hunter expert, not a Druid expert. I've just taken cursory glances at their runes. I've taken note at, like, okay, how much damage did their burst go up? Like, what happened to their mana efficiency? Yada, yada, yada. So, in Era, mages have about a 20%, frost mages specifically. Fire mages a little bit better. Mages actually do have a win rate percentage against SL warlocks. SL warlocks are not unbeatable by mages. It's just they need to get a couple good bursts back to back, or within a timely manner of each other. It's very RNG intensive for the mage, but a mage does have the capability of bursting SL warlocks out of fucking existence. Now, SL warlocks can mitigate against this by gearing specifically to fight against mages, having a little bit more HP, having a bit more resistances, using these trinkets, that trinkets. It's really about the SL warlock. Can he survive the burst, and can he survive the burst long enough to wear the mage down? But mages in Season of Discovery, their burst is going up. They now have healing and counter healing capabilities, so they can either burst on you and heal at the same time, or they have that turn back time stupid thing where they just heal for like the damage that's been done to them over 5 seconds. And their burst has gone up. I can't stress that enough. So the warlocks have gotten significantly more durable against classes that deal physical damage, but they haven't gotten that much durable in Season of Discovery so far, at least, for classes that deal magic damage, and specifically bursty magic damage. And since mages went up in bursting magic damage, and they still have they went up a fair bit in survivability theoretically, I think they got their win rate percentage definitely went up versus warlocks. SL warlocks in particular, but just warlocks in general. Their win rate percentage definitely improved. I don't know how much it has improved, but it's definitely gone up. Now, the SL warlock can gear differently to compensate for this, but the gearing differently is going to come at the expense of their offensive capability, which means the mage is going to have more time to let RNG take the wheel. I don't know if it's enough yet. But I do know that mages traditionally have like a 20% win rate against SL warlocks because they can just burst them out of existence in era. So I imagine that their win rate is going to be closer to like a 35 or 40% win rate versus SO Warlocks in Season of Discovery, if not outright be able to do enough damage to delete them out of existence. But yeah. Definitely one of the better classes to take on SO Warlocks in Season of Discovery. You can see that their win rate is not over 50%, but that's just because I'm not certain about what each class can do with each other. It might be that they have a winning win rate, so over 50%. I don't know about the Druid. They're just up here for the sheer potential of what might be possible with them. All right, Paladin. I am a Paladin main. I know way too much about Paladin. I am one of the most top. No, it would be arrogant. I'd be lying to you if I said anything less than I wasn't one of two best Paladin theory crafters in the entire world. There's me. There's Jakova. There's nobody else. Okay, Paladin is S tier for beating Warlocks. They're going to be S tier early on, and once they get cleanse, it's just going to be GG. The Paladins, the Warlocks are not surviving a good Paladin player, period, end of story. This is because they've gotten nothing that helps them versus Paladins, the Paladin matchup whatsoever. Like, absolutely nothing. You might think the armor helps them, but Paladin versus Warlock has always been an endurance match. The reason why SO Warlocks are terrifying and historically have been terrifying in classic World of Warcraft is because they are endurance monsters. There's only one class in the entire game that can get into an endurance fight with a Warlock and expect to beat the crap out of them. And that class is Paladin. Paladin is the endurance monstrosity of classic World of Warcraft. There is no class in the entire game that can stand toe-to-toe with a Paladin and win an endurance fight, other than another Paladin. And even then, they just kind of slowly beat each other to death. Paladins are monsters, and nothing has changed. You might be like, well, Demonology gives them armor. That should help a little bit. They can't be crit as much. That should help a little bit. And the improved life tap should theoretically help them win a mana war. And then you realize that Paladins got Crusader Strike, which costs no mana and refunds 2% of their, like 0.5% of their mana bar every second. It's like, what the fuck? To give you an idea of how insane that is, Paladins were already beating the crap out of Warlocks. Seal of Wisdom, okay, at level 60 with 6,000 mana. Just give you an idea. So Seal of Wisdom, I guess it's not mana percentage based, so there's no point in bringing that up. But at level 60, Seal of Wisdom will give you 90 mana every 4 seconds. You compare that to Crusader Strike. If you have 6,000 mana, Crusader Strike will give you 120 mana every 4 seconds. So the sustain of the Paladin in classic World of Warcraft went up by 150%. Not 150, 130%, 133%. 133% sustain increase for Paladin on top of increasing their DPS by 100%. Are you out of your fucking mind? Oh, by the way, also we can kind of shrug off fears if we really want to now. Oh, by the way, they also gave us a slow. What the, Jesus Christ, calm down. What the fuck? Jesus Christ, dog. Wow. What the? Okay, they're just going to eat Warlocks alive. All right? In era, they already eat Warlocks alive. They're just going to continue to eat Warlocks alive. You're like, I've never seen a Paladin beat a Warlock. All right, let me explain to you how it works. On an SL Warlock specifically. They jump all over the Warlock. They have this trinket called Mithril Insignia, which makes them immune to fear for 30 seconds. So the Warlock just has to deal with the attentions of this stupid Paladin that it can't get off it for a million years. They can try to damage it to a point where it has to heal itself. They can try to get away from it. That doesn't really go all that well. A lot of times, just the Paladin will use SOR and Edward the Odd because it does good healing and good damage. It gets one SOR proc, and the next thing it heals itself to full. The next thing you know, it swaps over to a Flurry Axe and does maximum DPS to you. The Warlock, this L Warlock will easily live that, but it usually has both pets are dead by that point because there's exorcism involved, and paladins do a lot of AoE damage even in era. They're gonna do even more damage, AoE damage in Season of Discovery. The Warlock pets just get melted. Okay, cool. So you finally survived all that. Now you can fear the Paladin. Awesome. What's the plan? We fear the Paladin. We go eat. We drink. We reset. And then we just wear on him with the fear until we win like a mage, right? And then the Paladin, because he's been using a one-hander this entire time, suddenly does a skeleton summon pet in front of you right as you hit him with the fear. So now you can't eat and drink, and you got to deal with this stupid skeleton pet, which you can't really CC as a warlock. It does like 100 DPS to you, so the best thing you can do is like Curse of Exhaustion it to keep it the hell off of you. Lord knows you can't do any enough damage to it in time to kill the stupid thing before the Paladin comes out of the fear. Heals the damn pet, heals himself to full, buffs the pet, like freedoms it, so now it's moving super fast at you, like what the hell, mounts up and comes back out at you again. What's worse is the Paladin's out of combat, so he can eat and drink if he wants to. The pet doesn't keep him, he keeps the Warlock in combat, but it doesn't keep the Paladin in combat, so he can eat and drink if he wants to. And if he really feels frisky, he just gets into a heavy, damn it, what is it, Shadow Resist suit to really punish the Warlock's mana bar. Okay, cool. Let's say he can magically blow up the pet at some point during all of this. Well, behind that, the pet lasts a minute, and behind that pet is another frickin' pet. The same one. You can have two skeleton summons back to back within as long as 1 minute within each other. And then behind that, there's even more trinkets, and there's more pet summons, and it's just a nightmare mode, and the Warlock just gets ground into pulp. Okay, they just die a slow, horrifying death to the Paladin because they can't kill the Paladin, and the Paladin is just grinding them into pulp. Okay? It does what a Druid wish a Druid could do. Like, literally. If the Druid had more mana, the Druid would kill the Warlock in the exact same way, which is why the Druid is up here on the list. If that makes any sense. If a Druid literally had more mana, because the same way the Paladin just has a crap ton of mana, if the Druid had more mana, they would just grind the Warlock into pulp. And that might be what happens in Season of Discovery because of Free Wrath and a bunch of other abilities. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Warlock, they die horribly in Era to Paladins. If you don't know how classic Era the matchups work, at the highest level, there's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors historically between Paladin, Mage, and SO Warlock. So it's virtually any kind of Paladin. But it's specifically Frost Mage, and it's specifically Shadow SL Warlock. And the rock, paper, scissors basically goes Paladin beats SL Warlock, SL Warlock beats Mage, and then Mage beats Paladin. So you got that weird like trifecta rock, paper, scissors of who's the best class, the dueling class in the entire game. It's between Paladin, SO Warlock, and Mage. You hear a lot more about SO Warlock, and they're more often banned in tournaments just because of how dominating and oppressive they are, and because Horde, it can be hard to find a Paladin that's good enough. I know how shocking that sounds after describing the matchup, but it can be hard to find a Paladin that's good enough to consistently put Warlocks in their place. It's getting easier since I made guides on the subject, but it can be hard to find. And there's a lot of dueling tournaments on the Horde side where it's pretty well balanced until as long as you ban SO Warlock, because there's no Paladins Horde side. So if SO Warlock is not bound in a Horde banned in a Horde side tournament, they win because their natural predator is not present and accounted for in the tournament, which is Paladin. All right, moving on. So, as you can tell, I'm Paladin main. A lot to talk about. I have played a bit of Priest in my time. Priest is Ooh, we don't want that. Control Z. Control Z. Ooh, Priest is a little interesting. Control C. They got better in some ways and worse than others. It's actually Disciplined Priest that I'm really looking at. Like, Jesus Christ, is Disciplined Priest going to finally go Super Saiyan and kill us all? Luckily, Disciplined Priest didn't get any durability bonuses. So, okay, so if you don't know anything about Priest, Disciplined Priest is actually more terrifying in a vast majority of matchups than Shadow Priest. The reason why you don't see Discipline Priests in dueling tournaments specifically is because they cannot survive rogues. Shadow Priests can barely survive rogues, and that's with the 15% damage reduction from Shadow form. Discipline Priests just die. That's my best, that to my knowledge, that's the best reason why you don't see Discipline Priests. But if you know anything, the reason why Discipline Priests are so overpowered in just about any other matchup you can think of is because Smite has like a 71% spell power ratio behind it. So by the time they're done with all their gear, they're like, yeah, I have a 2-second spell cast that does 2,000 damage. And you're like, what the fuck? Say what? Yeah, that's holy damage. And you're like, excuse me? Like literally Paladin, as a Paladin's best single target healing in the game, you can't out heal that as, you can out heal that as a healing Paladin, but you can't out heal that as any type of damage dealing Paladin. Literally, they just cast smites at you until you die, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Absolutely terrifying. I am terrified of Discipline Priests, but they're still kind of their natural predators are still out in force, and there's going to be more natural predators against them. So, for example, feral druids can eat them alive. Enhancement Shaman's probably going to eat a Discipline Priest alive. Warrior's definitely going to eat Discipline Priests alive. There's a lot of stuff out there that can really give a Discipline Priest a hard time. And Paladin's going to eat them alive. And thank God for that, because Discipline Priests, absolutely terrifying. I'm not sure which one you'd want to go up against an SL Warlock with. Would you want to go up against them as a Discipline Priest, or would you want to go up against them as a Shadow Priest? Traditionally, SL Warlocks do actually beat Shadow Priests because of range advantages, particularly on the fears. But it's a mana war issue between these two in the grand scheme of things. And Shadow Priest in Season of Discovery got nothing to help them with their mana issues. Not a goddamn thing. Like, I'm quoting aliens here at this point. Like, nothing, not a goddamn thing. It's like, well, they got nothing to increase their mana efficiency. Shadow Priests have always been absolute Giga Chad monsters until they run out of mana. And since they still are absolute Giga Chad monsters in Season of Discovery, except they still have their massive Achilles heel, which is their mana bar. Discipline Priest, of course, gets around this because Smite is, on top of being insanely damage, it's also incredibly mana efficient for the amount of damage it does. But again, Discipline Priest can't survive certain matchups. And again, the Warlock of Metamorphosis, they went up with their mana efficiency increased significantly, which means Shadow Priest is just going to die. There's absolutely nothing a Shadow Priest can do against these Warlocks. Discipline Priest might be able to take them out. I'm not knowledgeable enough on Priest for this, so I'm going to put Priest right about here because I don't know if Discipline Priest can do enough to kill them. It might be that Discipline Priest can actually blow the crap out of Warlock, and I'm just sleeping on them. The other problem that Discipline Priest has, they don't have any real range slow, which is a really big problem. So, for example, if you're trying to free cast, so a Shadow Priest traditionally has to root their ass in place and cast some big damage dealing spells in order to really cause damage on an enemy. This is a problem against a Warlock because you do that once, and then the next thing you know, the Warlock is within 20-yard range of you and threatening fear. Right? Like, that's the problem. It's like, how do you stand your ground, cast spells without getting feared? Well, Druid does that because they can root the Warlock in place. Mage does that because they can slow the Warlock. Paladin just doesn't care and beats the crap out of them in his own magical little way. But basically, if they magically gave Priest a range slowed ability, I would immediately put them up on this list significantly. Because I know for a fact that Discipline Priest could probably nuke the ever-living crap out of an SL Warlock. Just because the slow would allow them to at least stand still and be able to start free casting into the Warlock for a period of time. But they don't have that, so maybe the best thing they can possibly do is like a Gnomish Nanomatic and like Kamehameha on them. But yeah, so Discipline Priest, I think, has a chance. Shadow Priest has a snowball's chance in hell. And SL Warlock can always gear a little differently to try to survive this or try to survive that. So, it's not looking too terribly good for Priest. Discipline Priest, however, goddamn that spell power ratio on Smite. All right, let's go with Rogue. Rogue is actually very interesting. Control V. Yep. I'm not sure where to put Rogue. I know that sounds insane, but I'm literally not sure where to put Rogue. In theory, they would have to be down at the bottom because of all the armor gain from Metamorphosis. But they've got Shiv and other annoying things. Like, they can really stack poisons out the ass on a Warlock under dueling conditions. And so they're screwing over enough. They're probably just not going to do enough damage, right? At the end of the day, they're probably just not going to be able to find the damage. But you would be surprised. There are some scary rogues that builds that you haven't actually seen in Classic WoW, mostly because of the hidden nerf they put in on Shadow Oil. But Spell Power Rogue historically has actually been a thing. And it might come into play with the poisons, and they might stand a snowball's chance in hell against bursting Shadow or these damn Warlocks out of existence. Lord knows they're not getting feared. Rogues don't get feared. They're just gonna get kick, stun. You're not fearing a rogue. So yeah, other than I gotta put them low. Maybe Spell Power Rogue can do something. So if I had a normal rogue, I'd put down at F. Spell Power Rogue might actually be able to accomplish something, but not likely. I just don't know enough about Rogue. I don't know about Spell Power Rogue. If they make Shadow Oil the way it's supposed to be in Classic WoW and they remove the 10-second internal GCD, okay, listen. Shadow Oil is not supposed to have a 10-second internal CD in Classic World of Warcraft, but Blizzard very wisely, in my opinion, put a 10-second internal CD on Shadow Oil because it's got like a 60% spell power ratio and a 15% proc chance. All right, so Shadow Oil is not fucking around. Shadow Oil on the private servers made dual-wielding melee hunter, spell power hunter a thing. It made spell power, a dual-wielding spell power rogue a thing. Okay? If they do something weird in Classic World of Warcraft or in Season of Discovery where like the dual-wielding stuff for hunter. Let's just pull up hunter real fast here. Chest piece, lone wolf. Okay, you deal 25% increased damage with all attacks while you do not have a pet. Okay, if this 20% increased damage applies to oils, and even frost oil starts getting a little scary with a dual wielding hunter at that point because it does have a 30% spell power ratio behind it. There's a bunch of other little things that have spell power ratios behind it in Classic World of Warcraft. So if they're like dual wielding, their spell power hunter dual wielding. Come on, what are they? Hakari Manslayers. I think you can dual wield Hakari Manslayers. I could be wrong about that. Or some other 100% spell power ratio proc on hit items. Things can get really scary. If they unnerf Shadow Oil for Season of Discovery, dual wielding spell power hunter is back, baby, with a vengeance, especially if this 20% applies to that. I would put that higher up on the list, significantly, standing a snowball's chance in hell against these SL Warlocks. But if they unnerf Shadow Oil, God help us all, the rogues are going to absolutely do terrible things. But yeah, so stuff like that exists in the game, and Lord knows we're going to talk about the crazy shit with the next class here. I'm going to get Warrior out the way right now. We all know where Warrior's going. Spell Power Warrior, to my knowledge, is not a thing. Dual wielding or otherwise. They got absolutely nothing to help them versus Warlock whatsoever. If anything, they got nerfed out the ass versus Warlock. they couldn't kill an SL Warlock before. Now they're in demon form with a bunch of they're wearing plate mail now, boys. Get fucked. It is what it is. Welcome to Classic WoW. I feel bad for warriors. I actually main warrior other than paladin. So back in the day, I had like two level 60 warriors before I started playing paladin. I had shamans. So there's two types of shamans we need to talk about here. Control V, yes. One is elemental, and the other one is enhancement. All right, so one of the two paladins is going into the S tier, and the other paladin, the other shaman is going to be close to S tier, and I will give you a hint as to which one of these it is. Unfortunately, it's enhance and Ellie. Yeah, so let's go with do DW. Yeah. Yeah, we'll put 48. We'll go D and W. Sweet. What the? Are we doing this all right? Are you okay? That's looking awfully big, my dude. DW. Sure, why not? And we'll scroll it up. And we'll go over here. DW is for dual wield. Okay? Dual wield. And the other one is Ellie. And I'll put that a nice blue. E. Nope. I got a lot to say about these guys. You'd be like, what the hell? E-L-E. Alright. So we got Ellie Shaman, and we got dual wield. Well, let's talk about this. Holy crap. Okay, so why do I feel weird about Ellie? Oh, God, that doesn't look good at all. All right, come here. We'll just leave it as is. Okay, so let's talk about Ellie Shaman for a second here. Ellie Shaman's burst went up, as near as I can tell, level 60 by at least 1,000 damage. So Ellie Shaman burst up by at least 1,000 damage, if not more. They also have Overload, which means they can kind of win Fury with each other. I'm not sure if those two things are opportunity costed against themselves. I can go check it out real fast. Why the hell not? Yeah, so they can take Overload and they can take Lava Burst at the same time. Hallelujah. So yeah, so Elemental Shaman Burst up by at least 1,000 damage, which is actually legitimately terrifying, but it's still enough. It's still not enough damage that nobody can outgear the damage coming out of Elemental Shaman. So, for example, I was building Paladins the other day on Classic WoW gear planner. Like, they have like over 7,200 effective HP against an Elemental Shaman, even more if Kings is involved. You are not, if people don't want to be bursted out of existence by Elemental Shamans, it's more than possible that they cannot be bursted out of existence from Elemental Shamans. But Elemental Shamans going up in burst is not good news for SL Warlocks. Why is this? Because SL Warlocks didn't get anything other than a massive armor increase to help them against Elemental Shamans. If the Elemental Shaman the Elemental Shaman can't really slow the Warlock very well without getting the healing dot put on him. And he can't take the healing dot off of him once it's on him, right? The lifesteal channel thing. But he can still slow the Shaman, so the Shaman can't really go anywhere. He still has Frost Shock, even though he's healing the Shaman. And the healing is not going to be anywhere near enough to help him additionally survive the burst. Which means SL Warlocks are going to have to gear a fair bit different in order to even survive the bursting attentions of an Elemental Shaman. There are also some really, truly terrifying Elemental Shaman bursts out there. Let's talk about which may or may not just start deleting people out of existence. My point is that Elemental Shaman now has a more significant enough burst that it might cause the SL Warlock to have to gear so in the damage negative that the matchup becomes suddenly Shaman favored, if that makes any sense. And when I say might, I mean I'm pretty fucking sure that Elemental Shaman can gear in such a manner that it'll make SO Warlocks crap their pants. So let's talk about this for a second. Okay, so there's two types of Elemental Shaman that are the terror of classic World of Warcraft. I'm just going to put a bunch of points in here real fast. The first is your traditional Elemental Shaman who comes all the way down here. They put 31 points into Elemental Mastery, and they do whatever the hell else they want with their points, usually going into Restoration a little bit, yada, 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 or just more points into Elemental Mastery, right? They want the healing and combat capability, and they just plug more points into Elemental Mastery. Maybe they get improved Ghost Wolf. Doesn't really matter what the hell they're doing with their points. This is your traditional, I'm going to nuke the crap out of you, Elemental Shaman. This is the Shaman that spell batches. They lightning bolt. They stun you. You get barfed on by a fire nova totem while you're in the stun. Then they chain lightning earth shock you, and it's batched together so that both of them are a crit. That's, you just take 3,500, 4,000 damage immediately from the elemental mastery, like blah. This is the traditional Nuki build. And in Season of Mastery, it's going to be equally. It's going to do what it does, and it's just going to do more damage, right? Nothing interesting to see there. Let's talk about the other thing. Let's talk about the one that's gained in popularity on Era. Again, I'm just going to plug points in here until we get all the way down to Nature Swiftness. When activated, 3-minute cooldown. Your next nature spell with an instant cast time of less than 10 seconds become an instant cast spell. Cool. Then what they do is they just start dumping all their points into Elemental Mastery. Or the Elemental Tree. We really don't care what's going on here. They literally have everything they possibly want in the Elemental Mastery tree. Oh, that's why it's not working. I was like, what the hell? Why can't I activate that? There we go. Everything they possibly want in the Elemental Mastery tree. They got 30 points in Elemental Tree. They got 21 points in Restoration. This is the Uber. This is the dice roller. Bursting Shaman. Okay, how does this Shaman work exactly? Well, let me think. How do I describe this real fast? So, what this Shaman can do is they can cast a lightning bolt, okay? And then they have a macro that allows them to activate their nature swiftness, and they nature swiftness out a chain lightning and an earth shock all instantaneously. So, from your perspective, what happens to you as a PvPer is you see a Shaman casting a lightning bolt. And then the next thing you know, you don't just get hit with a lightning bolt. You get hit with a lightning bolt, a chain lightning, and earth shock all at the same time. Just blow, like right in your face. And if all of that crits, they can get up to a 7,000 plus damage burst. They also really like using their Blackwing Lair trinket that increases their elemental damage by 20% for the burst. If you're wondering how exactly that gets up that high. Yes, I have been hit by it before. Yes, I took 7,500 damage from this crap pretty much in one go. Absolutely terrifying. So basically, right. So the elemental mastery burst basically works like they have to stun you. Then there's then they go a lightning bolt and a chain lightning into the stun, and you might be able to take an action because it's like a 3-second stun, right? There might be some travel distance on the grenade or the stun that they hit you with, so you might be able to get out a healing potion. Traditionally, what'll happen is that they put down their Fire Nova Totem. They hope you're in range of the Fire Nova Totem. Then they stun you. Then they start casting the 1.5-second chain lightning. That because they have it talented. Then comes out the earth shock, right? So you get hit with the damn earth shock. the damn the earth shock, which my bad, the chain lightning, which crits you, the earth shock, which crits you, and the fire nova totem. And while you're running at them, there may or may not have been a lightning bolt involved in the running up to them process. Okay, you follow me on that? Like, that's their burst. This burst is virtually identical, where they put down the grounding totem, they stun your ass, and then they kamehameha a lightning bolt into a chain lightning into a earth shock all in one go. So you see the lightning bolt cast, but behind the lightning bolt cast is blah, and shit gets real really quickly. Let's look at the runes. Oh my god, let's look at the runes. Alright, so they can take stupid stuff like overload. Alright, so that, potential 7,000 damage burst goes up to like 8,000 now. That's cute. 7,500, 8,000 damage burst. Let's just take overload into the equation. Like, why the hell not? Let's get lava burst while we're at it. Yeah, it's gonna be 100% guaranteed critical strike on anything that can't cleanse itself. And oh, by the way, you're stunned, so enjoy that while you're at it. Fuck. Alright, so that's like massive damage increase. You already see where this is going. And then you take this really, really stupidly written thing here called Ancestral Grace. Let's read this together. No. You know what? Let's first read Overload together. All right. Gives Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Heal, Healing Wave, Lava Burst, spells a 33% chance to cast a second similar spell on the same target at no additional cost. That deals half damage or healing, yada yada yada. Okay, half damage or healing. It's basically Wind Fury for spells, right? Not as scary as you would think in the grand scheme of things. It can RNG all over the place, but mathematically speaking, it's increasing spell damage by about 16%, right? But again, it can RNG all over the place. So, that burst that used to be 5,000 can very easily be 6,000 with Overload. Lava Burst, of course, is Lava Burst. And then you got this stupid thing. Whoever wrote this thing needs to understand that he lives in classic World of Warcraft. Okay? Whoever wrote this does not realize that a weapon called Edward the Odd exists. Okay? Whoever wrote this is a clown. But let's read it. Oh, just put this in the game. Maybe it won't break anything. Yeah, sure. Gain the Ancestral Guidance ability. Okay, for the next 10 seconds, 25% of your damage is converted to healing to up to 3 nearby party. 3 nearby party. Because I already see party members, 3 party people, party timers. Party, I want to have a party. Whoever write this, your English is not your first language. Holy crap. All right, moving on. So that can potentially, I don't know, I have to look it up, but I might be able to use this to heal yourself by a ton, which would be really, really cool. But it's the second part that makes me go, who the fuck thought this was a good idea? And 100% of your healing is converted to damage on your most recent Flame Shock target. Notice it doesn't even say that on any target. It doesn't say target afflicted by the dot. Meaning I could get Flame Shock as a Paladin, cleanse this piece of shit off of me, and I'm theoretically, based upon the way this is writ, still subject to 100% of your healing is converted to damage on your most recent Flame Shock target. Of your damage is converted. Like, excuse me? Like, WTF? What the fuck? And these guys have Nature Swiftness. Do you not know Classic WoW? Like, are you stupid? Okay, so now what we're looking at on Elemental Shaman is... let me think about this for a second. So, I can burst on my target. So now my burst is... It's still the Elemental Lightning Burst, except I don't get free Elemental Mastery crits on my Lightning. But instead of... In now I can just nature swiftness. And I can bitch slap my opponent with a heal. All right, well, let's look at that for a second. Like, what does that look like? So the heal is going to be healing wave. All right, healing wave. Rank 10 healing wave. It's basically a holy light. If you have any kind of spell power on this character whatsoever, it's going to be a 2,000 heal, which is now damage. You're gonna give your next fire, frost, nature, damage spell. Okay, thank God for that. So if this thing crits, it's gonna be like 3,000 damage. Unless of course the elemental fury talent that increases critical strike damage bonus of your searing magma, fire nova totems, fire, frost, and nature spells by 100%. Okay, that's cute. So if I nature swiftness out a healing wave and it crits, will it do 4,000 fucking damage? What if I'm in like plus healing gear and I nature swiftness out a healing wave, and I have elemental fury? Will it do 6,000 fucking damage? Like, you see where we're going with this, right? So very easily you can be like, yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna heal. I'm literally gonna heal wave. And then when I'm done healing wave, I'm going to nature swiftness out another healing wave. And oh, by the way, I also have elemental fury. So if one of those, you're just going to take a nice clean 4,000 damage. And if one of those crits, oh, by the way, you're also going to take, an extra 2,000 damage. And if I'm in healing gear, then, we might as well be talking about something stupid. Like, very quickly you get up to like 8,000, 9,000 damage is what I'm trying to say here. Because Overload is still in play. You can see Overload does affect healing wave. This is healing wave. It might be, since it's doing nature damage all of a sudden, it might be subject to elemental fury. And nature swiftness exists. Who wrote this? Are you fucking stupid? Like, what is this shit? All right, so that's just fucking, that's just beautiful. Like, what the, and then you need to talk about dual wield. Okay, because if you think elemental shaman burst that I just described sounds nutter butters, okay, absolutely batshit crazy nutter butters, let me introduce you to a little item called Edward the Odd. Yes, indeed. Okay, Edward the Odd. Note, it has a 1.6 weapon speed. That's important. Okay, because its proc rate is very low, but it's actually quite high when you factor in its really fast weapon speed. So it's got stats, 13 intellect, 10 spirit. It does 45 DPS per second. That's not bad. It's a bind on equip, which means you can buy it off the auction house. And it just casually says at the bottom, chance on hit, next spell cast within 4 seconds will be instantly cast. Yeah. Okay. Next spell cast within 4 seconds, instant cast. You'll also note that this thing is a one-handed weapon. It's not a main-handed weapon, which means you can dual wield these things. Okay? What's the proc rate on this item, might you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's about 2. Let me think. 2.7. Yeah, it's about 2.7% proc chance per weapon swing. So when you're dual wielding these things, you got like a 4.5% proc chance. Dual wielding, you might miss more because of your offhand. It misses a lot more, but you have things to back it up, like flurry theoretically in one of these dual wielding and shamans. So let's switch it over from elemental overload to dual wielding. And let's talk about this for a second. Goddamn. Dual wielding Edward the Odds. Okay. Let's look at the proc chance real quick here. If you don't know, Edward the Odds proc about once every about 30 seconds if they on a ×2 proc rate, give or take. But basically, let's just look at the dual wielding spec build really fast here. You keep nature swiftness, right? You're going to be a dual wielding enhancement shaman with dual wielding Edward the Odds with nature's swiftness, ancestral guidance, lava burst, and of course dual wield. And of course, you can easily do really stupid, annoying things, such as let's go. So there's a talent tree here. Yeah, you get your critical strike chance up. You get your damn ghost wolf. You get this stupid thing. Yes, I don't want the two-handed weapons, but 1 point there. 5 points here. Another point here. I already know we need it. We already have flurry. Okay, so now we're actually getting the Edward the Odd proc chance up and available. And you can do whatever the hell you want, but you're probably going to want to put your points into weapon mastery. Definitely want nature swiftness over Storm Strike. Storm Strike has a 20-second cooldown. It is hot garbage unless they want to give it a rune. 20-second cooldown in Classic World of Warcraft is painful, and whereas we'd already, nature swiftness is she's just too flexible. She can be used offensively. She can be used defensively. With nature's guidance, she can really be used offensively. Terrible stuff. Also, Classic WoW has a weird tendency that when it says things like increase the damage you deal with all weapons by 10%, in the Paladin tree, it says things like, let's jump over there real fast. In the one-handed weapon specialization, it says increases the damage you deal with one-handed melee weapons by 2%. And over here, it says increases it by 2%. This also affects seals on Paladin and also affects judgment damage on Paladin. So it's a massive part of the toolkit that actually gets increased by 6%, 10%, whatever it is. There's a good chance that with Shaman, even though I don't know Shaman as well as I should in Classic World of Warcraft, that, Jesus, it did erase my talents, that sucks, that it's going to increase it anyways, if that makes any sense. Let's get Flurry. Yeah, I know, I want Flurry. So it'll likely increase Flame Tongue weapon damage by 10%. It'll increase the white damage by 10%. It probably won't increase the judgment damage by 10%. Any Wind Fury procs will increase by 10%. Blah, 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 blah. 10% increase in damage probably actually is a 10% increase in damage, and no joke. All right, why is this important? Well, because, what am I doing? I can probably just back up, can't I? Boom, boom, and boom. Yes, no. I've done like 5. I keep clicking this button. It's not doing anything. Excuse me, internet? Like, what the hell? I can put points in, but I can't go back. All right, whatever. And we're dual wielding. We are lava bursting. Or lava lashing. I haven't decided. Lava bursting or lava lashing. If lava lashing can increase the proc chance in Edward the Odd, it's probably better to take lava lash over lava burst. But lava burst is lava burst, so you can nature swiftness that out if you want to. Your nature spell with the casting time, I guess you can't nature swiftness out of lava burst. But you know, you could stun the target, lava burst them, and then nature swiftness out a fuck you. Give them a nice big birthday present. So let's just talk about this. One thing I know about Elemental Shaman that a lot of people don't know is Flame Tongue weapon actually operates a lot like Seal of Righteousness on the Paladin side. It has a whopping spell power ratio behind it. However, unlike Seal of Righteousness's spell power ratio, it seems to have the same spell power ratio across all ranks. So for Paladin, it's like rank 3 is a special boy spell power ratio, and then everybody else kind of has a really bad spell power ratio. But for Elemental Shamans, Flame Tongue weapon across the board has the same spell power ratio, and it's also PPM and not just per hit, which means it synergizes with any weapon of any speed regardless. So Edward the Odd being a fast weapon is only really good because it helps Edward the Odd proc. It doesn't. You won't get any increased Flame Tongue weapon damage with Edward the Odd compared to anything else. In fact, it devalues Lava Lash because you'd prefer to have a slow weapon as opposed to Edward the Odd. But you can dual wield Edward the Odds, and when they proc, they will do pretty intense amounts of damage with Lava Burst. So whether it's Lava Burst or your Nature Swiftnessing out a heal, it's going to do like 2,000 damage. Edward the Odd procs are going to do 2,000 damage. Like, mark my words. Like, oh, Edward the Odd proc, blow, just 2,000 damage in your face. Get fucked. Or they get to heal themselves to full, like, almost like 2,000 healing. Right. Flame Tongue Weapon actually has a rather terrifying amount of spell power ratio behind it, making it actually worth its weight in gold. Now, in theory, you could come down here and pick up Elemental Fury and increase the critical strike chance. That way, unlike Seal of Righteousness, Flame Tongue Weapon actually crits. And when it crits, it does 50% increased damage. If you have Elemental Fury, it'll probably do 100% increased damage, which sounds really scary and awesome until you realize that Nature Swiftness is sitting over here in the tree and it's just waiting for you to... It's a free extra 2,000 damage. You don't even need Ancestral Guidance for it. You can just, oh, I'm just going to Chain Lightning into somebody for no good fucking reason, right? So Edward the Odd procs, you free Lava Burst into somebody, you proc Nature Swiftness, you free Chain Lightning into somebody without breaking a sweat. Don't even need Ancestral Guidance at that point. But if you have Ancestral Guidance, then you can do the healing thing. Not only you can do the healing thing, you can do the double healing thing. And Edward the Odd, I do believe, is the next 4 seconds. Here's where it gets stupid. I've never tried it, but I'm fairly certain that, and I probably should test it, but I'm fairly certain that when Edward the Odd procs, you can actually weapon swap away from Edward the Odd, because you have 4 seconds. You can weapon swap out of Edward the Odd and into another weapon, and then cast a spell. Why is this important? Well, if you actually go look at the damn spell blades... Let's go do that real fast. Gear Planner. Shaman. Troll. Yay. Come on, you can do it. Go. Power. Internet. Look at this thing. So this is, drops off Kel'Thuzad. Increases my healing done by spells by, a casual, 240. Oh, by the way, it's one-handed. It's one-handed. No. Maybe you didn't hear me. It's one-handed. Okay? Which means that you can have 2 Edward the Odds. You can proc Edward the Odd. Then you can swap over, theoretically, to 2 of these damn hammers. Gain a nice little casual, they both have the plus healing enchant on them. Dear fucking God, I didn't think about that. Holy crap. Where's it at? Where's the plus 55? Okay, cool. So, just gaining a casual. Where's the spell stuff? Healing. Almost 600 bonus spell power. I know. Bear with me. Gain a casual 600 bonus spell power on top of whatever the hell other spell power that you have going on. Maybe you're doing some weird Giga Chad thing where you're actually in pure plus healing gear, like just pure plus healing gear. You're in your tier 3 healing set. Okay? And with 2 Edward the Odds. And you run up to people and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to beat on people with Edward the Odd until Edward the Odd procs. And when Edward the Odd procs, I'm going to swap into 2 of these hammers. And I'm going to have something stupid. Okay. Something stupid, like, let me think for a second. It's going to be like 1,500 plus healing. Okay. 1,500 plus healing. And oh, by the way, I just happen to have this thing over here. Come on, go back. Go back. Can't go back. Yeah. I just happen to have this stupid little thing over here that lets me turn heals into damage. Oh, and also I have Nature Swiftness. So you're talking about 2 of these healing spells being fired out of the chamber, like back to back, just blow, just boom in your face. With plus 1,500 spell power behind them. I don't know what the spell power ratio of Nature Swiftness is, but it's probably pretty high. It's probably, I could look that up. All right, let's look it up. I am curious. They probably will tell us. I want the healing wave. Yeah. Healing wave. Yes. Spell power ratio, please. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. That's way higher than Holy Light, isn't it? God damn. 8, almost 86%. Are you out of your damn mind? Holy Light. The hell's my Holy Light spell power ratio? It's not that high. I know it's not that high. Can't be that high. Oh, it doesn't tell me. Great. Welcome to Holy Light, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so, a casual. All right, let's just do this real fast. Okay, so the spell itself does on average, 18, that's about 1700 damage. Okay, well, 1700 damage base. Cool. So 1500 spell power times 0.8, it's like 8.7, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Plus another 1700. Okay, cool. And then times 2. All right, cool. So that's just a casual, super chill, 6,000 fucking damage. Just, 6,000 damage. And of course, if one of those wants to crit, it's going to go up by like another 1,500. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. But where it really becomes scary is, of course, if you're not wearing all the plus healing gear and you're actually wearing like spell power and damage gear and you're dual wielding Edward the Odds and you got the lava burst and stuff like that, because at that point it doesn't even matter if you got nature swiftness, right? It's just like if Edward the Odd procs, somebody's taking 2,000 fucking fire damage or they're taking 2,000 nature damage, like one of the two, right? So you can do the ancestral guidance thing or you can just take something else in this list. I think Shamanistic Rage is hot garbage and actually needs to be buffed. Way of Earth is not the worst thing in the world to prevent you from being bursted out of existence. But Ancestral Guidance is just sitting over here like, yeah, I might heal you for like a million, like all the healing in the world, or I might just nuke somebody out of existence. And I'm just like, all right, we'll pick that up. But yeah, so the dual wielding is terrifying with Edward the Odd. Now we come to Warlock. Oh, geez, I've been talking for like 20 minutes on these two fucking shamans, just to get right back around to Warlock again. Um, Warlock struggles to deal with enhancement shaman already. I'm being dead serious about this. So, enhancement shaman has a bit of a problem catching a warlock. It's not the worst thing in the world because they can instantly get into Ghost Wolf and just run them down, frost shock them, and then they're on top of them, right? It is traditionally very difficult for an enhancement shaman for a warlock to get an enhancement shaman physically off of them. If they have the Mithril Insignia trinket, the blacksmithing trinket that makes them immune to fears for 30 seconds, their base toolkit is actually super, super terrifying. So the enhancement shaman's base toolkit, right? They got grounding totems, so they can eat fears that way. They have tremor totem, which does not it's not in the same school of not in the same totem school as grounding totem, so they can use that back to back, right? So grounding totem is there if all else fails. Warlocks have frost shock on them, so they're not going anywhere even if all else fails, and they have to rely on the grounding totem. Usually, there's a lot of micromanaging that goes on. The warlock tries to make the pet kill the tremor totems. Also tries to make them kill the grounding totems, but you can easily just click grounding totem, stop the fear just like that. Earth shock is involved. So usually it's like the warlock tries to fear, they eat an earth shock. The warlock tries to fear again, countered by grounding totem. They try to fear again, countered by earth shock. They try to fear again. By that point, I think grounding totem is off of cooldown again, especially with a bunch of dual wielding crap. It's going to cause quite a bit of pushback for the warlock. I keep saying shaman, but I mean warlock. So warlock's trying to fear, but it's just really, really difficult. And then worst case scenario, outcomes, then comes like a stun. So out comes the grenade stun. So like, fuck, I'm grenade stunned. And then it's earth shock again. You get where we're going with it. Actually, it would be earth shock, grounding totem, earth shock, grounding totem, earth shock. Then there's a grenade. Then there's goblin mortar. Then there's this insert whatever trinket you want here, be it goblin mortar, tidal charm, a Shadow Reflector. It's just whatever. It's just, you can't fear the fucking Shaman for a million years. And if they have a Mithril Insignia, then you really can't fear them for a million years. So you can't stop them from getting on top of you. You can't fear them for at least a minute. Like a solid fucking minute. This thing cannot be feared. Like, what the fucking hell? If you do ever fear it, it may or may not just have a summon that pops out of nowhere and just like, hey, play with this for a little while. It can do paladin tactics. It's not the worst thing in the world. But really, what's scary here is that if they use the same tactics that the paladins use. The paladins use Edward the Odd with the ×2 proc rate from Seal of Righteousness. A dual wielding shaman is going to have virtually identical proc rate from Edward the Odd. Both the paladin and the dual wielding shaman are going to want to use Edward the Odd. The enhancement shaman a little bit less so, but it's just the fact that you're dealing damage to the warlock, and the warlock can't actually do any kind of they can't prevent your onslaught of damage by trying to do damage back to you. It's not like, okay, eventually you stupid paladin, you're gonna have to heal yourself, and I can, take advantage of that. No, Edward the Odd's just gonna proc and heal them to full. Except if they're perfectly fine and they don't need the healing, they can just do an extra 2,000 fucking damage to the warlock, because dual wielding Edward the Odd shamans in classic World of Warcraft. Like, what are you thinking? So you can't fear it. It heals itself to full or blasts you for a ton of damage. Can you the thing before it kills you? No. Cool. So dual wielding shaman with dual wielding Edward the Odds are just going to eat SL warlocks alive in Season of Discovery. They're just going to tear them up. It'd probably be the best thing to do in a duel that they actually start with a skeleton summon. So they start the duel with a skeleton summon, because you can summon the skeleton and then swap over to 2 weapons. You swap over to 2 Edward the Odds, you go into Ghost Wolf form, or you mount up, you run after the SL Warlock, you slow them with Frost Shock, and you just proceed to give them the business until they fucking die. GG's, good duel, and better luck next time. Yeah, so dual wielding Edward the Odd elemental shaman or enhancement shamans are going to be the stuff of nightmares. I am thanking they're gonna have frost oil and stuff too. Just so you know, you might think to yourself, how much damage can Flame Tongue really do? All right, well, I'll show you. So, as a paladin, traditionally in classic WoW, I kill shamans. That's funny. I kill shamans by ooming them and then beating them to death, preferably with Edward the Odd or Flurry Axe. Okay, that's what I do. I run them out of mana, and then I beat them to death. GG's. And when an elemental shaman is out of mana on Era, they do this nasty thing. The smart ones, they put Flame Tongue on their weapon, and they start hitting me back. And usually it's like a Lock-a-Mirror or something stupid that they're hitting me with. It does like 120 fire damage, Lock-a-Mirror. And when it crits me, it does like 180 damage. That's if they're the Nature's Swiftness Shaman, blah, 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 blah. If they're the Elemental Mastery Shaman, when it crits me, it does 240 fire damage. That's on a Lock-a-Mirror. If I recall correctly, Lock-a-Mirror's got like a 1.9 weapon speed or something stupid like that. The thing is not flat, it is PPM, so you could easily estimate that an Edward the Odd weapon is likely doing 100 fire damage per hit, dual wielded. Alright, you see where we're going with this? And then there's oils involved and stuff too, like holy fuck, bro. It's not that the damage coming out of a dual wielding Edward the Odd Shaman is insane, but it's still disturbing and alarming. I haven't actually crunched the numbers on it, but it's going to be quite disturbing and quite alarming. So that would be like, ×2 equals divided by 1.6. So they're going to do like 125 fire DPS off of Flame Tongue weapon alone. That might be increased by like 10% here, 10% there, depending upon their talent trees. Whenever Edward the Odd decides to proc, it's literally 2,000 damage. I can calculate that real fast here. So 1.6 weapon speed, double the proc rate because they're dual wielding. What is that? Let's multiply. Let's do something here. Let's say it's 16 seconds. So this will be over 10 attacks. Okay, so 16, and then I gotta multiply that by 0.054 because that's its proc. It is 4.5%. Yeah, this would be 10%. That'd be 100%. Okay, cool. So this is its proc chance. It has an 86% proc chance. Is that correct? Over 16 attacks. Right. So in 16 attacks, this thing will have an 86% chance to proc. Okay, cool. How long is 16 attacks? Divided by 2. Wait. Yeah. Okay, no. This is right. Okay, 16 normal attacks. 16 times 1.6. Okay, cool. Yeah. Like I said before, I've done the math on Edward the Odd many times. She has a 100% proc chance at times 2 proc rate. She'll proc once every 30 seconds. Cool. So now that I could understand that's going to do 2,000 fucking damage every time it procs. I divide that by 30, I can get the DPS. And Edward the Odd weapon being swung around by these dual wielding Fury. The Edward the Odd's going to be a plus 66%, about almost a 67% fire damage increase. More if the stuff is critting, right? Or you can heal yourself, one of the two. So you get big fat heals every 30 seconds, or you do big fat damage every 30 seconds while dual wielding Edward the Odds. Okay, and that should pretty much sum up our tier list of versing these supposedly very fearful SL Warlocks in Season of Discovery. As you can see, I am of the opinion that in Season of Discovery, in Era, there's only one class in the entire game that consistently puts Warlocks in the dirt, and that is Paladin. Everybody else has a 20% win rate against Warlock or less. It really sucks. But in Season of Discovery, the Elemental Shamans are going to have a chance. Especially even the Healing Shamans are going to have a chance. Holy crap. Yes, the Healing Shamans are going to have a chance to obliterate SL Warlocks. And they might actually just straight up destroy SL Warlocks, because if RNG goes their way, they will delete an SL Warlock literally out of existence. They can purge off of the buffs, and Lord knows they have the mana and healing efficiency to probably out heal and just laugh at the SL Warlock's damage, especially if the SL Warlock is gearing to try to survive a burst. So in truth, Control V. No. Thanks, game. In truth, I need to put Control C, Control V. Now that I'm talking about it, I need to put another damn elemental into the S tier. I need a big fat. This would be R for Resto. Nice big green R for Resto Shaman, and boom. So it's probably only Elemental Shaman that can't put them in the dirt. Yeah. So if you're a Resto Shaman with Nature Swiftness, and Lord knows, the other, I guess the build would be that you try to get Elemental Fury. So you come down here, you get Elemental Fury. You come down here, you get Nature Swiftness, and then you can literally fuck off and do whatever the hell you want as a shaman. You gear in pure healing gear. You take Ancestral Guidance, and you just beat on this Warlock. You play it like you're a melee Warlock with Edward the Odd. And even though you get like your Edward the Odd is going to proc one time in a minute of swinging on this Warlock. If Edward the Odd procs, yeah, you can just Ancestral Guidance out 2 big fat boy heals, and if one of them crits, it's going to do like all the damage in the world, and the Warlock will just explode out of existence. Or you just stand there at the 40-yard range mark, and you just start putting heals into the Warlock until they fucking die. God help the Warlock. The only thing you don't yet, you have to be able within slow range. Yeah, Resto Shaman might just eat them alive. What I'm trying to say here is this uh, ancestral guidance as writ might need to be nerfed. Because or Edward the Odd needs to be nerfed, like one of the two, right? Like holy crap, bro. So, I will end the video here, and Deus Vult boys, like what the fuck is going on with the elemental shamans around here? Like Jesus Christ, I'm still like, thank God I'm a paladin, because that's a one-trick pony from the elemental shamans, and Bubble is gonna save my ass. Probably, hopefully, maybe. Or I need some nature resist gear. Pfft, like Jesus. Or maybe it is a nature school. Yeah, I was like, maybe it's a holy school. Nope, it's a nature school. But 87% spell power ratio. 80% spell power ratio that can be turned into a damage spell. Or that can be instantly cast. That can have a 100% critical strike bonus. What the fuck are we doing here? Bleh. All right, moving on. Oh, also this healing spec would want dual wield, because why the hell wouldn't you want to dual wield? It's going to give you an extra. What was that? If you don't know, in the gearing, the one-handed weapon gives you 240. It's more like 300 spell power, because you get to put plus 55 healing on the damn thing, and the shield only gives you like 55. So yeah, it's literally like +2. Literally picking dual wield specialization for the stupid like healing elemental burst spec is going to give you plus 250, 240 spell power in classic WoW. Whoever wrote this is a moron. Whoever wrote Ancestral Guidance, if it does what it says in the tooltip, absolute fucking moron. Get out of here. Anyways, on the video here, and Deus Vult boys.